Thank you for joining us. I'm Paul Wilson.
And I'm Chris Ehmke.
And this is Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, we got a great show put together for you today. Before we dive into it, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. First up, Duramax Tuner, Calibrated Power. Hey, you guys know that's where Chris and I work. We love it here. Also, we have huge sales going on throughout November and coming into Black Friday. Stay tuned and follow the Facebook page and other social media accounts for details on that.
Yep. Exergy Performance, your one-stop shop for anything common rail fuel injection wise, from CP3's injectors, lines. Hey, winter's coming around the corner. Your fuel additive winter and summer blends. Paul, I believe that they have some pretty cool things coming out for some of the older platforms, the LML specifically. So,
yeah,
I'd be following them and following our next sponsor, WC Fab, on some updates on that stuff.
That's right, man. I love WC Fab. We were just out at their open house here a couple weeks ago. Had a blast. It's a amazing, absolutely overwhelming facility. Really cool work that they're doing over there. So we love working with those guys. And of course, last but not least, we have XDP, your one-stop shop for diesel performance. If you are looking for an upgrade on your truck, if you are looking for a replacement part on your truck, if you're looking for anything for your truck and you're listening to this show, you probably can find it at XDP. So check them out. For now, let's kick it over to us talking with somebody really cool, RJ Snider, and a little bit about dirt drag races coming here in the near future.
And 12 valve Cummins, Paul.
Yeah. Get it. Guys, today we have a real treat on the show. We have a listener, longtime listener, and fan of the show who's actually out there making a splash in his community in diesel performance, RJ Snider. RJ, how the hell are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good, besides sitting next to Paul.
But come on now. That's a privilege. You know that. You know you're excited for it.
I think the real privilege is having RJ admit that he listens to us weekly.
Yeah. We still have weekly listeners. How crazy is that?
That's insane.
Guys, we really do appreciate you listening to the show. We also appreciate you jumping on our Facebook page and our Fans of Diesel Performance Podcast Facebook group. But for right now, RJ, I really just want to get started by asking you, how'd you get your start in diesel performance?
Well, we've always had diesel tractors on the farm and around the house. So I helped my dad work on them when I was young. And my first vehicle was my grandpa's 91 Dodge with the Cummins in it.
Hell yeah.
And always liked that body style. So picked up another one and just kept playing with them and turning them up what I could. And now I'm building a P-pump engine to put in one.
Isn't it like so much fun when you get my first Cummins was a 90, and going on the good old YouTube, right, and figuring out how to turn up the fuel screw and the smoke diaphragm and everything like that. It was the coolest thing back then. Nothing has ever matched that thrill, in all honesty, when it comes to diesel performance for me.
Taking the ratchet strap across the top of the engine.
Set your timing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I remember, finding a nice, wanted the truck to sound like a semi, 4-inch straight pipe on her. And then, there was a time I wanted to do a turbo upgrade. And back in like the early, late 2000s, like there wasn't a lot of drop-in chargers. I ended up finding a guy 4 hours south of us selling a Caterpillar turbo off a Caterpillar. It ended up being a, smaller S300 Borg, right?
Yeah.
Drove 4 hours away, brought that thing back home, figured out every cookie cutter way to get it to work. I was pumped. Had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Just paper towels for gaskets. You're just, fuck it, let's run this thing.
There might have been 2 separate rubber hoses for the oil drain. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So how long have you been playing around with the old 12 valve stuff? And then I assume that the P-pump motor is for one of those first gens?
Yeah, I have. I've been playing with the 12 valves for a while. Like I said, it's my first vehicle, and then a guy I work for also has a pulling truck, and we pull it around Ohio a little bit here and there in the run with your brung class, and have a good time with it. Do pretty decent with it. So one day, I was telling him I wanted to get more power out of my VE, and I was like, might as well just P-pump swap it. So I picked up a spare engine and put it on the stand, and him and I have just been playing with it here and there and getting pretty close to getting it in and having fun with it.
How many hours have been spent after somebody said might as well? Like, might as well just swap it. Like, no big deal. How long have you guys been working on the swap?
I think I picked the engine up like a year ago probably, and just piecing and parting and trying to decide what I wanted to do with it took the longest. And I was just going to rebuild the engine, put it in. I was like, well, that's no fun. I might as well see what I can get out of it.
No, that's super cool. I did one of my later second gens. It was a 24 valve, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna P pump that and take the VP pump out, and I ended up just putting the 12 valve with the P pump. It was easier that way. You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy how versatile. You know, you're talking about those engines. 89, the 12 valve was introduced all the way through. You know, the P pump motors being 98, and you could literally just take one of the P pump motors, stick it in the old first gen. You know, no big deal. It's not not a whole lot of hoops to jump through, you know, with how simple they are.
Now, you said you're sled pulling with it out in Ohio, man. Ohio sled pulling's like a religion out there. It gets pretty serious. What kind of competition do you go up against?
Oh, we have in the class that we pull in with my boss's truck. He's going to be mad at me if he hears this and I call him my boss. He's more like one of my good friends. There's some pretty heavy competition. We got a lot of good guys out here. It's stiff competition. Voorhees, that's a big name. Trying to think of some of the others, but yeah, there's a lot of good guys out here running around.
Is a lot of the competitors, would you say, are they equal to in the mechanical world? Or are you kind of going up some of the newer technology with all the common rail stuff? And I've seen some, you know, like P-pump V8 power stroke motors. Like what's that look like power plant wise?
I know there is one inline pumped power stroke that runs around. I can't think of the name of the company. I've seen him around. And then, a lot of the trucks nowadays are your VP44s or CP3, newer style injection trucks that we mostly pull against now. There's a few inline pump Cummins trucks, but a lot of them are going more electronic.
Few tractors still out there running. Okay, like to hear it. Love an antique on the road. As you build up and you start to get into sled pulling, one of the things we always find is classes do start to get, we'll just say, kind of funky as we go from organization to organization. You know, what might be a class with one group might be nothing with the next one. You might not fit in anywhere. So I love to hear about a run what you brung. Yeah. We don't see a ton of brush pulls up by us here in northern Illinois. Not as much as we used to.
No, like Wisconsin, you jump over the border, you'll see a couple. They're a little more popular. I feel like there's just more pulls in Wisconsin than there are in Illinois.
Yeah, it's starting to be that way.
Yeah.
I think central and southern Illinois probably still have some of that community going on. But I know up here in northern Illinois, out in the burbs, it's pretty thin. When you think about getting started sled pulling there, what are some of the things that you think are really important as you're getting a truck together?
I guess just find a platform that you're comfortable with and that you're going to stick with, and something that you can really build off of. Don't start with something that you can't, that doesn't have the potential, I guess, if that sounds if you can follow that, I guess.
I hear you. Yeah, don't start with a fucking power stroke. Quit playing. Get yourself into a real truck. No, of course not. I'm just joking, guys. I'm just joking. No need to send the emails. I'm just kidding. Chris, what do you think of when you think of sled pulling with a 12 valve?
That's the roots, man.
That's it, right?
If you wanted to, feel the early years of diesel performance and you wanted to just get into the nitty gritty where all these business owners and all these companies that you see that are doing all this R&D on all this new crazy stuff, they started with a foundation of mechanical injection. So, it's nice to go into some of the more simplistic platforms, being an old mechanical truck, because that gives you a lot more understanding when you get into the common rail stuff or the newer technology, Sure.
I also feel like you probably get to spend more time prepping yourself for like chassis adjustments than maybe somebody with a common rail. Generally feels like guys with common rails, they're going to chase down tuning, they're going to chase down turbo swaps, they're going to chase down all these other things. 12 valve guy, I mean, if you've got a recipe together, like you said, it's already been tried.
Yeah.
I pretty much don't care with what recipe you came up with in your garage. Somebody else has done it with a 12 valve.
And I feel like, too, as an enthusiast that's new to the space, it's a lot more inviting to modify a mechanical truck instead of some of the newer stuff. Like the newer stuff, like we know, can get pretty costly just to trial and error or something.
Pretty quick.
Now, RJ, tell us a little bit about this. What's this Backwoods all about? What do you got going on with the Backwoods event?
So a year ago, my buddies and I were sitting around fire, and we're like, we had just gotten done with our local county fair, and they had it was the first time they had a dirt drag contest there, and that's not something you see a whole lot around us. And like, man, it'd be fun to go to some more of these. Well, then we started realizing, well, if we want to go to these, we got to travel a little bit.
Yep.
And
Ohio seems like it's fairly popular from a statewide perspective of having dirt drags. Like a lot of, they're starting to pop up a little bit more here in Illinois, but when I see or hear a lot about dirt drags, they're very much a staple in Ohio, I feel, and growing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Towards when you start going out west a little bit more, you see them, but we're in the southeast area and didn't really have a whole lot. We always have, you have your typical sled pulls, sometimes twice a week at the county fairs. And, but not a whole lot of dirt drags around us. So we decide, let's get together and let's put on this little event. And we decide like, the best place to have this would be a cornfield. So we called ourselves the Cornfield Callouts.
I like that. That's slick. That's more creative than Paul, and he's in our marketing department.
Quit playing. That's totally true.
That's slick. I like that.
Totally true. I like it. Okay, so dirt drags, man, I love dirt drags. And dirt drags I feel, have so much more fanfare than sled pulling gets to be. I mean, sled pulling, you get the guys who are hardcore, you get the farmers who understand tractors and torque and everything like that. But beanfield races or cornfield races, like this dirt drag thing, this is like, it feels exciting to be there. And now, how long's your track? How long are you guys racing for? 300 feet?
This year we only we got a new place we're at this year. We switched locations because we decided to, with the corn and stuff, we were kind of at the mercy of the farmer. So we picked a spot that wasn't in a cornfield, but surrounded by cornfields. So this year the track is 200 feet, and we're hoping to expand it next year. We were getting a little close on time, so this year's 200 feet.
Okay,
I like it. A 200-foot track. I mean, this is really
it's a driver track.
It's a whole shot. Yeah. You're racing off the light and then just praying that you don't break, I would imagine.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, how'd it go? How was your first year? Last year in a cornfield, you threw it together. How much prep time did you give yourselves? Like you started getting ready 10 months before the event?
Oh no, this was like, we should have this in the fall, and at this time, we were talking about it in July, so then we were having it in October.
Okay. Now,
so we were like,
no, go on. I'm sorry.
We were expecting like, we'll have a couple dozen people that are competitors, and maybe 150 people show up to watch. And I mean, it was really just for a select group of people. We weren't expecting a whole lot of people to come out. And we're like, we'll post something on Facebook, see who shows up. And I think we end up having over 100 competitors and over 700 spectators show up to this cornfield in the middle of nowhere.
That's crazy. That's
some Ohio shit right there.
That is like you're in a perfect spot for that. That is badass.
What's going on tonight? Literally nothing. You want to go sit in a cornfield and watch some dudes race their trucks? Yes.
So what's the expectation for turnout this year?
Well, we were like, we want more people to come. And then the guy that's in charge of running the Facebook, one of my buddies, he was like, we've had over 20,000 activities or whatever on the post itself, whether that's likes, views, or shares and all that. So it was like, oh my, that's a lot of people.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? How big is the space you have? You said it's in between cornfields. You had how many? 1,000 people show up last year?
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take. If 5,000 show up to your new location, is that good, or are you fucked?
We don't know. We should be good. It's a pretty big space. It's a big space, and we got a lot of room for parking this year, and we started planning a little more ahead of time this year, and decided we're gonna up it a little bit. We got people coming in to make food and stuff this year, and T-shirts and all that good stuff to sell.
What goes into prepping the ground for a dirt drag? Like I would imagine if it's a non-farmed land,
fucking
right? Preparation's going to be a little different. So what did you guys do last year? What are you guys doing this year for prep for the land itself?
Last year we had it really easy. The field we started with was in the bottom, and it was very flat, and it was just really convenient how flat it was. So we just brought a dozer in and cleaned the top off a little bit and made it fairly level and rolled it a little bit. But this year we tried it a little different. We put the track at the bottom of a hill so the spectators and stuff could sit on the side of the hill and watch from the hill. And so this year we brought a dozer in and we had to clean the side of the hill off a little bit and make us a decent track. But so, yeah, it took a little bit more work this year than last year.
So which one of your trucks do you race in this event?
The truck I actually wanted to race is down right now, so I don't think I'll have it. This is the truck I wanted to put the engine in.
Okay.
The People engine. Right now it has the old VE engine with the Getrag, and the Getrag's not too happy with me right now.
Sloppy shifts or too much power?
Probably a little bit of both.
I'm right there with you. Literally, Nick earlier today was lighting me up on my inability to shift quickly in a manual. So,
Oh, really?
you know what? He can pound sand.
All right. So you're not racing this year, but you're obviously involved on getting it ready and getting it rolling. What's a home run for you guys? I mean, let's start off first. How many classes are there? Because the dirt drags, we have one dirt drag by us that we go to kind of as a company yearly, and there is gas and diesel.
That's it.
What are you guys going to run there?
Well, this year I got a list here. I'm going to start at the top. So first, when we are having people sign up for the later classes, we're going to have a 50cc and 100cc kids classes.
Oh, wow.
So
Awesome.
while the adults are going in and signing up, the kids can be racing, having fun, because we wanted to make this a family-oriented event. We didn't just want everybody showing up or just adults. We want everybody to be able to come here and have fun. So we'll have those two classes while everybody's signing up. Right after that, we have a 2-stroke and 4-stroke ATVs, and so your dirt bikes and 4-wheelers. After that, we have non-turboed side-by-sides, turbo side-by-sides, and then heavily modified side-by-sides.
Do people get to just decide which class they want to, like, a heavily modified? Do they get kicked out? Do we got, like, inspections going on?
There's inspection. They're not, like, super intrusive inspections, but, yeah, there are some inspections. We're not super picky, but, we want everybody to have a good time. And if somebody's in there that has a heavily modified side-by-side in the turbo class, that's not very fair for everybody else. So we want to make sure that everybody's having fun. The playing field is fair for everybody.
Cool. All right.
Very interesting.
So after all the side-by-side classes, we move into the gas truck classes. We have just your typical daily driver, that you get from point A to point B, street gas truck class. And then we have one for because everybody wanted to bring their little Hondas and their little Ford Rangers out and race them. So we have a 4- and 6-cylinder class. And then we have a hot gas truck class, which is your more of your rail buggies and stuff, or stuff that's street legal but pretty tuned up.
Okay.
And then last we run the diesel truck classes. We got manual trucks, work stock trucks, and then street diesel and a modified diesel.
What's the difference between street diesel and modified diesel?
Street diesel, you're allowed to so going from work stock truck to street diesel, you can change chargers, so you can have up to 2.5, 2.6 charger. And then your modified diesels are your guys running dual CP3s and nitrous and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Do you get guys out there running nitrous in a 200-foot dirt drag race?
Yeah. We had I think we had 3 come in last year.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't really have this. We had a street diesel, but we didn't have a modified diesel. So we were like, well, we might want to make another class for them, because
did they take it? Did they win?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
That's wild.
It's just rare that somebody has the equipment, a plan, and it all work together, right? So it's like,
least for us.
especially like when you're in a short race like that, like so much of it is based on the driver to where you don't know what's going to happen. So it's interesting. Do you have people already signing up? When is the event?
Sorry, I was getting another phone call.
No problem. When's the event?
The event is November 5th.
Okay, so next week.
Yep, next week.
All right. Justin, what date is this going to go live?
It's going to go live on October 28th.
October 28th will be the day people are listening to this, hopefully. And November 5th, where at? Can we give them a location in case we have any listeners out there?
The address is 13603 Sand Rock Road, Glenford, Ohio.
And if they wanted to follow you on your Facebook page and kind of get more details, where can they go to find that?
Our Facebook page is the Cornfield Callouts. The main picture's white Duramax.
That was painful to say, wasn't it?
The Ohio State. That's what that's from. Okay, I gotcha. I got it. All right. Guys, if you're listening to this, I think this sounds like probably the coolest dirt drags I've ever heard of.
Oh.
I can't.
That's wild.
I am loving the idea of having these classes as kind of open as they are, where you're going to get a good broad range of guys in each class. I mean, even in the heavily modified, I mean, that leaves some open to interpretation, which always makes for a lot of fun in a short drag race like this. 200 feet is a very quick race, so I'd imagine you guys are going to be rolling through the competitors, especially with having all of the side-by stuff and the kids stuff all going on. What time are people kicking off? I mean, do you got to get there at like 6 in the morning with your kids to run the early classes?
No, so the gates open at 3:30, and we are going to start racing at 5:30 is the game plan. Because last year we started at like 6 or 7:30. And it just went all night. Went probably till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Lights? So there's lights, a lot of lights on the track?
Oh, yeah. We have light plants set up that we have gotten from a couple rental companies around us.
Okay.
Very cool.
I love this idea. I mean, by me, November 5th, 5:30 at night, it's sunset. It's getting dark by 6. So a lot of these classes will be running kind of after dark, and this being a night event. I love this, man. This sounds like a blast.
We'll have to follow up with how everything turned out.
Yeah, it's a good time. We'll be posting pictures and stuff on our Facebook. Maybe not throughout the night because we'll all be pretty busy, but hopefully the next day or two after the event, we'd like to start posting pictures and videos of the races for people to see. And last year we had some drone footage, which is pretty cool. So if you get on our Facebook page, you can see all that.
That sounds like so much fun. I'm really excited for you guys. I hope the event goes off without a hitch. Best of luck to all the competitors out there. If you have any advice for somebody who is looking to get started with dirt drag racing or with sled pulling, what kind of advice would you share with them, RJ?
I guess pick a vehicle that kind of like sled pulling. Pick a vehicle or a platform you're comfortable with, and probably pick one that people have classes for you.
There you go.
Well said. Absolutely. Well, guys, for today, this has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Ehmke.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us today, guys. This has been Paul Wilson.
And Chris Ehmke.
Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I think the real privilege is having RJ admit that he listens to us weekly.
Yeah. We still have weekly listeners. How crazy is that?
That's insane.